going on? It's Dr. Gonzo Boogie here again, and in this video I just wanted to go through and show my George A. Romero zombie trilogy films on DVD and VHS. And what I mean by the George A. Romero zombie trilogy is his original Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead, which in my opinion are three of the best horror movies just ever made, and three of my favorite horror movies to watch. I can't get enough of them. I watch them every year, multiple times. Just great films. So I figured I would just go through my collection, show the ones I have on DVD, and then also just show the ones that I have on VHS too. So to start off here is the original Night of the Living Dead, and this is the 1968 classic film, and this one hasn't been altered or anything. Some editions of this movie have like new footage cut in, like one of the anniversary editions that Anchor Bay put out has like new footage cut in, which I used to own on DVD, and it's just horrible, like totally ruins the movie. And they also changed the soundtrack, and this has the original soundtrack, and this is a pretty good edition. This is from Elite Entertainment, and they also put out a couple more editions of this movie that I would highly recommend. Definitely my favorite, one of my favorite companies to pick up the Night of the Living Dead's from is the Elite company. They put out some of the best editions of this film, and this is just a real basic edition of it. It's pretty much just a film. It's got all the basic special features you get on almost every edition of this movie, and it's pretty cool though. I've always liked this edition for some reason. The cover I'm not 100% a fan of, but for some reason it still works for me, and I like the color scheme on the side, very like Christmassy. I just think it looks cool. And then this is the remake of Night of the Living Dead that George A. Romero put out in the 90s, and I'm including this one just because Romero wrote the screenplay for this one, and it was directed by Tom Savini, the makeup artist who worked on Dawn of the Dead and other great horror movies. Worked on so many great horror films, and this is pretty cool. I like how they didn't just remake the film. Like, you think that like a scene from the original one is going to take place, and they put like a twist on it, which I thought was cool, but in my opinion it came nowhere close to really matching or even like grasping the feel that the first film had. The first film is just written really well. It's a little bit dated to me, it's a little dated now, the writing of the movie, but it's still just the story of it alone is so good that it doesn't even matter. And the way that it was filmed, the original one is just great. But I would recommend this one too for anyone who's passed on it, thinking that it's not too good. And then next here we have the classic Dawn of the Dead, and this is probably one of my favorite horror movies ever made, and this is definitely my favorite George A. Romero film, and this one is just great. This is the basic Anchor Bay edition that you pretty much see everywhere. It's probably the easiest edition of this film to find. I've seen it at $5 at Kmart before this edition, but this is just classic. And this is the special edition of the movie, so it's like the director's cut of the film, because there's a couple different cuts of this movie. There's this cut, then there's the US theatrical cut, and then there's the European cut, which I also have on DVD. And this was a cut that Dario Argento put together. He worked with Argento on the US one. He helped with the music and helped with a couple other things, but for this cut it really has more of like an Argento feel. He cut out a lot of the more silly music, and he put in a lot more of the music from the band Goblin, which did the soundtrack for a lot of Argento films, but they also did the soundtrack for this film. So the music I think is a lot better in this cut, and it's also more of a violent cut. A lot of the scenes that were cut out, or some of the scenes that were cut out in the US one, were added back in, some of the gore scenes and stuff. So I've always really liked this European cut ever since I bought it, and it's probably come to be my favorite edition of this movie to watch is the European cut. I just think it's really cool, and everything about it I just think is awesome. And then to follow that, I actually have the sequel, the European sequel to the European cut of Dawn of the Dead, which is Zombie, which the Dawn of the Dead was released in as Zombie, and then this movie was actually released as Zombie 2 in internationally. And and then this one was released in the U.S. as just Zombie. So it's really confusing. Horror movies tend to get that way. The more like cheesier and like exploitation type like subgenre they get, the more confusing they seem to get with their titles and sequels. But this is a pretty cool sequel. I was gonna say it doesn't come anywhere close to being as great of a film as Dawn of the Dead, but it's just cool to watch, and I always like to follow up the European cut of Dawn of the Dead with this one. I just think it's fun to do that. And this is the Anchor Bay edition of this, and this has always just been one of my favorite Anchor Bay editions. I love the cover of this one and just everything about the design layout and the inside and everything. It comes with a little booklet. It's really nice. And last here we have Day of the Dead, which is another one of my favorite Romero movies. And to pick a favorite out of the zombie trilogy is really hard, because I think all three are great for their own reasons, out of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. So I really can't pick a favorite, but I like this one just as much as the other ones too. I think Day of the Dead is great, and this is a really cool edition. This is an earlier release Anchor Bay put out of Day of the Dead. I think this might have been the first release Anchor Bay put out on DVD. Could be the first release of Day of the Dead on DVD, but I've always really liked this, and I've kept this for a while. I bought this at an FYE that closed down, and I picked this up I think around the time it was closing down, probably like 5-6 years ago when I was still in high school. And I've always held on to it, and I've never felt like updating it to a newer release, just because I really like it. For some reason, I just think it looks really cool. And the inside of this one looks like that. It's got the original movie poster, which I just love. One of my favorite horror movie posters ever. Hopefully that picked up good. Alright, next up here is the VHSs. And if you're wondering why I'm not showing any of the movies any of the zombie films Romero did after Day of the Dead, like Land of the Dead and Diary of the Dead, it's not that I disown those movies or anything like that. I just don't think they're the same quality as these ones. And I've always thought of the original three Romero put out as like his definitive trilogy, and his newer ones as kind of being something else. Because Land of the Dead was like different, and then the other ones were shot to make it look like it was like home video type footage, and those ones are just way different. And I just don't even think the writing is even close to the quality on Romero's original trilogy. So it's just it's not like I hate those movies. I don't consider them part of the same like collection in a sense. Like it's hard to explain, but I think a lot of people like understand what I'm saying. And this is my copy of Night of the Living Dead on VHS, and I really like this cover. It looks like it was colored with like colored pencils or like crayons. It's very like old school, fun. I like the drawing of it too. I just you don't see stuff like this anymore. This is very VHS tape, like early 90s VHS tape look to it, and I just really like it. And just a decent edition of the movie. I've actually never watched this tape, so I don't know what the quality on the actual film is. But with older tapes, you never get the best quality, especially on a movie that's in public domain like this one. So I'm guessing the quality on this isn't the best anyways. But I picked it up just for the artwork and just to have for the collection. Alright, and then next up here we have Dawn of the Dead, and this is actually the only copy of Dawn of the Dead I own on tape. I wish I owned some more, because there's a lot of cool editions of this film out on tape, and this is the only one that I've ever come across. And this one's really cool. It's from HBO Video, and I really like the way this one's set up and everything. Just very basic, old school tape. This has to be, I think, from sometime from the 80s. This tape, just the way it looks. And I have my copy of Highlander is like set up the same way with that little border thing at the bottom, and that's from the HBO video. I just like the way these tapes look too. And the cover of this is very interesting too. I think the insert for the U.S. theatrical cut of Dawn of the Dead on DVD comes with like this poster as the insert, but I'm not sure. I actually want to pick that up on DVD in the U.S. cut. And then last here is of course Day of the Dead, and you know, I just love this film. This tape is pretty cool too. You know, I like the cover of this. It's like a variation on the DVD cover, even though this came out before. So, like, you know, it's just like a variation on one of the posters for the film. It's pretty cool, and I like the way this tape looks. It's sun faded on some of the sides, which happens with a lot of these older tapes, especially if it's yellow. Yellow tends to get sun damage pretty easily, and you know, now available on laser video disc, which, you know, that's not around anymore. Definitely, yeah, this is from '86, this tape, and I always loved the way '80s tapes look, just very cool. And there it is, the media, Day of the Dead, and again, very cool. I just really love this tape, and that is my Romero Zombie Trilogy DVD and VHS collection. And if you enjoyed the video, definitely you know, leave a thumbs up or leave a comment, and thanks for watching.